Man, this is a terrible, terrible idea. With all this momentum from Caitlin Clark coming into the league, blowing up the attendance, blowing up the television ratings, increasing gate revenue, which is how much people...
Let's talk about timing, because this couldn't be worse. Just as the WNBA wrapped up the most successful season in its history, just as Caitlin Clark delivered unprecedented attention and real revenue to the league, and just as attendance records were smashed and TV ratings exploded, the Players' Union chose this moment to authorize a strike. A staggering 98% voted in favor. And the consequences of that decision are already rippling outward, fracturing the fan base and igniting a backlash the league may not be prepared for.
Just did a video led by people that literally are co-founders of another professional women's basketball league that is a competitor. They are preparing to strike. This is a terrible idea.
Here's where the situation gets especially messy. The union leaders driving the strike authorization include Nneka Agwamike and Brianna Stewart, both co-founders of Unrivaled, a rival 3-on-3 basketball league set to launch in January. That means the same players steering negotiations for the WNBA are also financially and strategically tied to a direct competitor. Fans didn't miss it. Within hours of the announcement, accusations of a clear conflict of interest flooded social media, turning an already tense labor dispute into a full-blown credibility crisis.
Didn't vote for this. Alexa Philippou with ESPN. The WNBPA Executive Committee has been authorized to call a strike, quote, when necessary. Remember, they got to put this to a quote-unquote authorization vote to strike.
The Players' Union followed up with a statement condemning the WNBA's current provisions as draconian, arguing that players have been unfairly constrained for nearly 3 decades. But that statement leaves out a critical piece of context. Since its inception, the WNBA has never turned a profit. The league has existed only because NBA owners consistently stepped in to cover the losses, absorbing millions of dollars year after year. Without that long-term financial backing, there wouldn't even be a WNBA at the negotiating table today.
Time and time again, the players' thoughtful and reasonable approach has been met by the WNBA and its teams with a resistance to change and a recommitment to the draconian provisions, good grief, that have unfairly restricted players for nearly 3 decades.
The owners have already put a dramatic offer on the table, one that would quadruple player salaries. A 4-fold increase would push the average WNBA salary from roughly $70,000 to about $280,000. For a league that has never posted a profit, that's not a minor concession, it's a massive financial gamble. Yet, according to the union's own statement, this proposal is framed as resistance to progress and still deemed insufficient.
The owners kept you guys playing basketball despite losing millions upon millions of dollars. And these players act like that's not even a thing. The players' vote is neither a call for an immediate strike nor an intention to pursue.
The union has since clarified that this vote doesn't trigger an immediate strike. It's an authorization, one that hands the executive committee the power to call a strike if and when it chooses. Think of it as chambering around without pulling the trigger. The message to the league is unmistakable: meet our demands, or we're prepared to walk away from the table. But that warning carries enormous risk, with consequences that could extend far beyond the negotiating room.
I'll post this question instead of a statement as a question. Will WNBA fans come back to this sport after a strike? Good luck. Good luck. In baseball, after the '94 strike, it literally took Barry Bonds.
Remember what the 1994 strike did to Major League Baseball. The season was wiped out. The World Series vanished for the first time in 90 years. Fan interest collapsed almost overnight. It ultimately took a once-in-a-generation home run chase, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa doing something the sport had never seen, to pull fans back in. And that was baseball, a league exponentially more popular than the WNBA is today. Even then, the damage wasn't quick to fix. It took 4 full seasons for the sport to recover.
In this league, and it took baseball 4 seasons. And it took something we had never seen before to bring people back in. Caitlin Clark, probably part of the 2% that voted no. This, of course, is her comments from just the other day.
The WNBA doesn't have that kind of cultural safety net. The league has only just come off its long-awaited breakthrough season. Caitlin Clark's rookie year pulled in millions of casual viewers, people who had never watched women's basketball before. Indiana Fever games topped 2 million viewers multiple times, and arenas that normally hold 5,000 fans were expanded to 15,000 whenever Clark came to town. But this surge is fragile. It's driven as much by curiosity and novelty as it is by real, deeply rooted fandom, and momentum like that can disappear as quickly as it arrived.
Quote, fight for everything we deserve during the negotiations. At the same time, we must seek compromise on both ends and need to play basketball next season. That's a young lady that is fully aware. And business savvy, by the way.
Caitlin Clark herself appeared to understand exactly how dangerous this moment is. Just days before the strike authorization vote, she publicly urged restraint and compromise. Fight for everything we deserve during the negotiation, she said. At the same time, we must seek compromise on both ends and need to play basketball next season. That's a 22-year-old rookie displaying more business sense than veteran union leadership. She understands what's truly on the line.
The other players didn't do squat to grow the game. Bet nobody will even notice. Good luck with that, laughing my A off. The small interest I have to watch will be gone if they strike. Is this a joke? Would anybody notice?
The fan backlash was swift and unforgiving. Social media lit up with criticism within minutes of the announcement. Comments like, nobody will even notice if they strike, and the little interest I had will be gone quickly took over the conversation. One especially cutting question stood out. Will WNBA fans even come back after a strike? That's the existential threat at the heart of this moment. Unlike long-established leagues, the WNBA is still in the process of building its audience, and a work stoppage now could erase years of hard-won progress almost overnight.
This is bananas. I've said, take the raise, make an agreement, go back to the drawing board in 3 years, and ask for another raise. It's simple. Just keep revisiting. The owners, I don't blame them because they want to see what the media rights deal.
Here's what the players appear to be counting on. The new media rights deal, signed in July 2024, is valued at $200 million per year over 11 years, up from $50 million annually under the previous contract. That's an enormous jump. Naturally, the players want a bigger slice of that revenue, arguing they've earned it through the league's recent surge in popularity. On paper, it seems fair. In reality, it's far more complex. The media rights money doesn't arrive all at once. It's spread across the full contract. Beyond that, the WNBA still faces substantial operating costs. Player salaries are only one part of the equation. There's arena rental, travel, staff, marketing, and general league operations. Even with a media boost, projections suggest the league may only break even or see modest profits over the coming years. The owners aren't hoarding vast sums of cash to deny the players. Timing is the real issue. The current collective bargaining agreement doesn't expire until after the 2025 season. The players could have accepted the fourfold salary increase, played the upcoming season, and then renegotiated 3 years from now, when the league's finances were clearer. That's essentially the strategy Caitlin Clark seemed to endorse. Take the immediate raise, demonstrate sustainable growth, and return later for more. Instead, the union is drawing a hard line before the season even begins. They're demanding a bigger share of revenue now, along with guarantees for travel conditions, practice facilities, and maternity benefits. These are all legitimate concerns, but the combative stance, strike authorization, and public accusations of draconian treatment risk alienating the very fans whose support fuels the league's growth. Then there's the unrivaled conflict. Nneka Agwamike, the union president, co-founded a league that directly competes with the WNBA for players, sponsors, and audience attention. Breanna Stewart, another executive committee member, is also a co-founder. Both have substantial financial stakes in the success of a rival league. If the WNBA falters due to a prolonged strike, Unrivaled becomes a far more appealing option for players and investors. I'm not suggesting this is intentional. Union leaders may genuinely believe they're fighting for fair compensation, but the optics are damaging. To the public, it looks as though they're willing to risk the WNBA itself to advance their own business interests. Fans notice it. Media notices it. And that tension is already poisoning negotiations before they've even truly begun. The 98% yes vote is telling. Only 2% of the union said no, either a sign of remarkable unity or proof that dissenting voices were pressured into silence. Participation was high, with 93% of eligible players voting, but that leaves 7% who didn't. Were they quietly protesting the process? Afraid to publicly oppose union leadership? Consider the players who didn't want this. Rookies like Caitlin Clark, just starting their careers, and veterans on the back end who can't afford to miss a season. Role players without unrivaled contracts or lucrative overseas offers face real financial risk. Yet they were outvoted, and now must accept whatever the union leadership decides. The owners are caught in a bind. Give in to every demand, and they risk setting a dangerous precedent. Future strike threats gain real power, turning negotiations into hostage situations. Stand firm, and an actual strike could wipe out the league's hard-won momentum. Casual fans vanish, sponsors grow anxious, and the entire enterprise could teeter on the edge of collapse. It's a classic lose-lose scenario, fueled by both sides' unwillingness to compromise. So what happens next? The union insists that authorizing a strike isn't an immediate threat, just a negotiation tool. But once the gun is loaded, putting it down without firing, or without appearing weak, is nearly impossible. The owners now know the players are serious. That tension could push the owners back to the negotiating table with improved offers, or it could harden their stance, knowing they're under pressure. My prediction, this will likely be resolved before any actual strike occurs. Neither side can afford the consequences of a full work stoppage. The players will secure some form of better revenue sharing, improved travel conditions, and enhanced benefits. The owners will achieve cost certainty and labor peace through 2030. Both sides will claim victory, but the damage to fan goodwill is already done. The WNBA has signaled to its growing audience that next season might be in jeopardy. That's not how you capitalize on momentum. The true losers? The fans who finally started paying attention. The fans who discovered women's basketball through Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. The casual viewers who tuned in for playoff games and were captivated are being told their interest takes a backseat to an internal labor dispute. In a league still striving for mainstream legitimacy, that's a risky message. Here's the question. If WNBA players strike and the 2025 season is canceled, will those fans return? Or is the momentum gone for good? Once casual viewers walk away, it's incredibly hard to win them back. Remember the NBA's strike of 1998. Years of growth were lost. Baseball's 1994 strike still casts a shadow on its cultural standing. The WNBA is playing with fire, and it may not yet grasp how quickly it could burn everything down. What do you think? Do the players deserve more? Are the owners being greedy? Or is the union leadership mishandling the situation while juggling conflicts of interest? Share your thoughts.